Can you use colour pencils on top of soft pastels effectively, and how do you do this? In this clip I will talk you through all the stages of how I created this mixed media study of Tom Holland from Spider-Man No Way Home using soft pastel and colour pencil. I will also explain why I chose not to draw it in either soft pastel or colour pencil alone. So before we start talking about how I use soft pastels and colour pencils and how effective that is, I would like to bring your attention to how you can find some key information. The first thing is all of the resources that I have used in today's demonstration. You can find links to these in the description below. You can also find a link in the description below to the picture that I have created today, as well as other artworks, and these are on my Fine Art America website. So let's get into the demonstration. So I'm first applying some soft pastel. I'm using two brands. These are Rembrandt Soft Pastels and Koh-i-Noor, and I am applying these to Canson Mi Tente pastel paper. You can use different types of surfaces. You can use smooth watercolour paper, which I do sometimes use if I want to use white paper, or you can use pastel matte. But I decided to use the smooth side of this paper today. It also has a honeycomb side, and the reason I wanted to use this is I like this particular tone. So I'm starting to apply the soft pastel and I'm blending it with a blending tool. Many artists use these with pan pastels or pan pastels, but I like to use these to blend soft pastels. I find it easier to use soft pastels. I like the precision of soft pastels, and then I like to blend it afterwards with the blending tools. So I'm now going into the darker tones of the hair, and I also like to get a more defined edge with the pastel pencils, and here I have two brands. I have Derwent and I have Faber-Castell, and I find these two brands very effective. I'm now going in with the colour pencil because I'm doing the eyes, and the eyes are really detailed, and I'm also doing the eyebrows with the pencil. For this one I am using Faber-Castell. I do sometimes use Prismacolor as well, but for this portrait today I'm using mainly Faber-Castell, and you will see that I will use Prismacolor later. So you can see here I've added quite a lot of details already, and I'm now going into the hair. I'm adding highlights with the pastel pencil, and I also go in and add details and darker tones on top with the Faber-Castell. Those skin tones I added by layering on with the side of my pencil using the overhand grip, and you will see me using a cotton bud or Q-tip to blend out some of the tones also. So now I'm going into the interesting part, which is the Spider-Man suit, and I am going in by starting to add the background with the soft pastel and then adding the details with the pencil. The whole trick and the benefit of using soft pastel is that you add the larger areas with the soft pastel and then your details with the colour pencil. This is why I like to work with this mixed media effect, because it saves a lot of time, and with an image like this you get the vibrancy of the soft pastel. You wouldn't be able to achieve this level of vibrancy with oil pencils. You would be able to maybe achieve this with your wax-based pencils, however you would get wax bloom and you may not get the light fastness, whereas light fastness with soft pastels with certain brands like the Rembrandts and the Koh-i-Noor is very highly light fast. So that is why this is a good medium to use, and then you can add your details like I am here with your colour pencils. for this last section, I'm adding the background areas again with soft pastel, and then I will blend out with a cotton bud or Q-tip just to make sure that all of those areas are blended out and there aren't any gaps between the pastel and the tooth of the paper. I will then go over and add details with coloured pencil or pastel pencil. For this area, because I'm working in negative and I want the lines to stand out, I'm using light colours over the darker colours. I need to have a pencil that's going to stand out, so the majority of the colours will be with Prismacolor, which is a wax-based pencil, and that means that the lines are defined and they stand out against a dark background. So now for the big reveal. Overall, I'm really happy. Now, just to be clear, I wasn't keeping the paper over the picture so that I wanted to keep it for the end to show you the image. I was keeping the paper over the certain areas of the image just to make sure that there weren't areas of the soft pastels, so the dust going onto areas of the other soft pastel image and getting dust on those. So say for example, when I was drawing on the red area, I didn't want the red dust going onto the portrait, and that is why I've kept that there pretty much all of the time, just to make sure that it's protected until the end. This is quite important because, especially if it's a piece that you're going to sell, you don't want that being affected, and with the soft pastel it can get stuck and then you're not going to be able to rub it off. It's not like coloured pencil where it's a resilient surface, so it's quite fragile in that respect until it's fixed. I should mention that I did use fixative on the portrait area before I moved on. I use Winsor & Newton fixative, that is listed in the description below, but I did feel that it needed that extra level of protection because the red is quite a dominant colour. I then, when this filming was ended, take my image into another room which was well ventilated and sprayed it again with the fixative. It's really important that you use a well ventilated room to spray your fixative. It's also very important that you spray the fixative 30 centimeters away from the work so that it doesn't get too stuck onto the work and that it wets the surface down. I'm really happy with how this turned out. The reason for this is, firstly, I was able to create a detailed piece of work but in less time than I would a colour pencil piece, and that is the benefit of doing a mixed media piece like this. You can cover large areas with the soft pastel, yet add details with your colour pencil. The second thing is the vibrancy. I got really good vibrant colours and hues with those reds, and you would not be able to get those with colour pencil unless you use Prismacolor, but then you could get wax blooms, so I think that's really effective. If you would like to improve your soft pastel skills, then click on the video above. If you would like to learn more about how to draw famous people, then click on this playlist, Famous Faces.